The radio erupted with urgent voices. 6 hostile fighter planes approaching fast. General Peterson's plane has been hit and is going down. But Captain Sophia Viper Hayes wasn't backing down. She was about to show that one determined pilot could take on an entire enemy squadron and rescue a kidnapped general. This is Captain Sophia Hayes, age 30. She wore her reddish-brown hair tied back in military regulation. Her sharp blue eyes had seen over 2,500 hours of combat flying in the world's most dangerous skies. For 5 years, she'd flown F-16 Fighting Falcons with the 3088th Fighter Wing. To most people around her, though, she was still just that female pilot who happened to be really good at her job. They recognized her talent, sure, but hardly anyone truly thought she could manage the riskiest solo flights that separated the best from the rest. Sophia's journey to becoming a fighter pilot wasn't easy or typical. Her father was Admiral William Thunder Hayes, one of the Navy's most honored aviators. She'd grown up breathing aviation, but unlike other military kids who took the expected route, Sophia had to fight for every chance in a field that still doubted women belonged in fighter jets. Her father wasn't sure about it at first when Sophia told him she wanted to fly fighters. "Sweetheart," he'd said during one of their tough talks, "flying combat jets isn't just about being good, it's about making life or death choices in a heartbeat. The demands on your body and mind are what, Dad?" Sophia had cut him off. "Too hard for a woman? My test results, my flight reviews, and my combat knowledge say something different." Admiral Hayes eventually became her biggest champion, but only after Sophia kept proving herself in situations where other pilots couldn't cut it. Her training scores weren't just good, they showed creative tactical thinking that amazed even veteran teachers who'd been coaching fighter pilots for decades. Sophia's upbringing was shaped entirely by aviation. While other military kids moved around from base to base living regular military life, she'd practically grown up inside Navy cockpits, learning systems and controls before she was old enough to drive. Her father had taught her that flying wasn't just about steering a plane. It was about seeing the whole battlefield and making calls that others wouldn't think of. Every summer as a teenager, she attended aviation camps and flight schools, competing against the sons of other military officers. She regularly beat male students who figured she was only there because of political correctness, not real skill. These early years taught her that proving herself wasn't something you did once. It was something she'd have to do over and over throughout her entire career. At the Naval Academy, Sophia finished second in her class with a degree in aerospace engineering, focusing on advanced flight systems and tactics. Her final paper on new air combat methods was classified and used in training programs. But even with all her academic achievements, she still met teachers who wondered if she had the fighting spirit needed for combat flying. During flight training, Sophia broke multiple records for accuracy and tactical creativity. Her teachers noticed she didn't just memorize rules, she understood the reasons behind them and found ways to make them better. Her methods in combat exercises were so unusual that other students analyzed her moves to figure out how she got better results. Sophia earned her nickname Viper during her first mission in the Middle East when she took out an enemy surface-to-air missile site by herself that had been threatening Allied planes. Her strategy was so unexpected, so brilliant that enemy forces didn't realize they were being attacked until their entire air defense system was destroyed. Hayes doesn't just operate her F-16, one squadron leader wrote in a review. She plans 3 steps ahead of everyone in the air. Her tactical breakthroughs are changing our approach to air combat. The mission that gave her the Viper name had been especially tough. Intelligence showed that enemy forces had set up advanced missile systems that were shooting down Allied aircraft at an alarming rate. Normal tactics had failed, and the enemy air defenses were keeping friendly forces out of the sky. Sophia volunteered for a solo mission that other pilots thought was a death sentence, flying deep into enemy air defenses to destroy their command systems. Her approach was groundbreaking. Rather than trying to dodge the missile sites, she used them against themselves, making the enemy systems fire at each other while she took out their radar guidance. But despite everything she'd proven, Sophia still faced doubt from commanders who gave her appropriate missions instead of the high-risk operations that built legendary reputation. She flew support missions, strike runs, and defensive patrols, while male pilots with worse records got the assignments that really mattered. The bias wasn't always obvious, but it never went away. Missions that should have gone to the best pilot were often handed to men that commanders thought were better suited for dangerous work. Sophia's tactical innovations were studied and used, but the credit usually went to male officers who felt comfortable presenting her ideas as their own. General Peterson represented everything Sophia hoped to become, a warrior leader who'd earned respect through decades of outstanding service. At 58, he commanded the entire region, making strategic choices that affected thousands of troops and airmen. Peterson was also one of the few senior officers who judged pilots by performance, not gender. "Hayes is one of the sharpest tactical minds I've met," he'd told Pentagon officials during talks about promoting more women to combat positions. Her innovations in air tactics are being studied by fighter pilots around the world. Gender doesn't matter when lives are at stake. Peterson had personally stepped in to make sure Sophia got assignments that matched her ability. Under his leadership, she'd been given increasingly difficult missions that showed what she could do and built the combat record that male pilots took for granted. His guidance had been essential in developing her confidence and tactical skill. The mission that would define both their careers started as routine observation. Peterson was inspecting forward bases, flying in a modified C-30 transport to visit remote locations near the Syrian border. Sophia led a four-plane formation of F-16s protecting the general's aircraft. The intelligence briefing had been standard: minimal enemy activity, low danger, expected flight time of 2 hours. But intelligence is never perfect, and routine missions can turn into disasters when the enemy changes their plan. The briefing came from Colonel Davis, the intelligence officer who'd been watching enemy air movements for 6 months. His conclusion was based on patterns suggesting enemy fighters were being saved for defense rather than off. Recent flights had seen little resistance, leading to the belief that enemy air power had been badly weakened. What the intelligence team didn't know was that enemy forces had been deliberately creating fake patterns, saving their planes for a coordinated attack on valuable targets. Peterson's flight was exactly the kind of chance they'd been waiting for, a shot at taking out senior American leadership while proving they could still challenge Allied air control. At 2:30 in the afternoon, Sophia's radar picked up multiple contacts coming from the north, 6 aircraft in attack formation, moving quickly and ignoring radio calls. The enemy had somehow positioned a full fighter squadron exactly where Peterson's plane would be most vulnerable. "Viper lead, this is Thunder Base." The WACS controller's voice was "We're showing 6 hostiles at bearing 045, 40 miles out and closing fast. Recommend you take evasive action immediately." Sophia checked her tactical screen, quickly reading the situation unfolding. Peterson's C-130 was a sitting target, a slow, clumsy transport with no way to defend itself against modern fighters. Her own formation was outnumbered and caught in a bad position, escorting a high-value target through airspace that had suddenly become a death trap. "Thunder Base, Viper lead. What backup do we have? How long until more support arrives?" "Viper lead. Closest friendlies are 20 minutes away. You're alone out there. 20 minutes might as well have been forever." The enemy fighters would reach Peterson's plane in under 5 minutes, and Sophia's formation couldn't protect a transport against 6 determined attackers. That's when Sophia made the choice that would either save a general or end her career. "Viper 2 through 4, escort Thunder home safely. I'll hold off the hostiles, Viper lead. That's a suicide run. You can't take on 6 fighters by yourself. Viper 2, I'm not planning to take them on. I'm planning to eliminate them." Sophia broke from the formation, climbing to 25,000 feet and putting herself between the enemy fighters and Peterson's escape path. Her F-16 carried 6 AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles and 2 AIM-9 Sidewinders. Enough weapons to hit multiple targets, but only if she used them with flawless precision. The enemy formation flew confidently in textbook attack formation toward what they thought was a defenseless transport with light escort. They had no clue they were about to face a pilot who'd revolutionized air combat through tactics other fighter pilots thought were impossible. Sophia's first edge was psychological. The enemy pilots expected defensive flying from an outnumbered escort. Instead, they encountered an aggressive attack that broke every rule they knew about conventional fighter tactics. Her father's words echoed in her mind. "When you're outnumbered, your only advantage is doing what the enemy doesn't expect." Make them fight on your terms, not theirs. Her first AMRA missile fired from maximum range, targeting the enemy formation leader. But rather than waiting to see what happened, Sophia immediately moved for her second shot, using methods her father had taught her about engaging multiple threats in quick succession. The enemy formation leader never saw the missile that destroyed him. 1 second he was leading an attack on a helpless transport. The next, his aircraft exploded in a fireball that scattered wreckage across the Syrian sky. Lead is hit. Another enemy pilot shouted. Where did that come from? Sophia's second missile was already flying, tracking the enemy's second in command. Her tactical approach was straightforward but devastatingly effective. Take out the enemy's command structure first, then systematically eliminate the remaining threats while they tried to understand what was happening. The second kill came 30 seconds after the first. Sophia had positioned herself to exploit openings in the enemy formation that they didn't know existed, launching missiles from angles their defenses couldn't handle. This doesn't make sense. The surviving enemy pilots were starting to panic. How is one pilot destroying our whole formation? Sophia's laugh came through the radio frequency the enemy was using. Gentlemen, you just picked a fight with the wrong pilot. The psychological game was as critical as the physical damage. Sophia was fighting enemy pilots who'd never faced someone who attacked with such bold confidence while outnumbered. Their training said numerical advantage guaranteed victory, but Sophia was methodically destroying their assumptions along with their plane. The third and fourth kills happened within seconds of each other. Sophia had learned to think in 3 dimensions, using altitude and energy control to position herself for shots other pilots couldn't imagine. Her missiles hit enemy aircraft that thought they were safely positioned, turning confident attackers into burning debris. By now the 2 surviving enemy pilots were flying defensively, trying to escape a tactical situation they couldn't comprehend. They'd started the fight with overwhelming numerical advantage against a single female pilot. Now they were running for their lives from someone hunting them with deadly accuracy. Sophia's 5th missile took out the pilot trying to flee toward friendly airspace. She tracked his escape path, predicted his evasive moves, and intercepted him with a shot that showed why she was considered one of the most innovative tactical minds in military aviation. The last enemy pilot made a desperate radio call for backup. American pilot has wiped out our entire squadron. Need help now. Sophia's response came over the same frequency. Tell your backup they're welcome to try. I've got 2 missiles left and plenty of time to use them. The final enemy pilot chose survival over bravery, disappearing toward the horizon at full speed. Sophia could have chased him down, but her mission wasn't about scoring kills. It was about protecting General Peterson and getting him out safely. Thunder Base. This is Viper lead. Hostile threat eliminated. 5 confirmed kills, 1 likely that ran. Rejoining Thunder home for safe escort. The radio silence lasted almost a full minute. Finally, the 8A WAX controller's voice returned, filled with amazement. Viper lead, did you just take down an entire enemy fighter squadron by yourself? Confirmed, Thunder Base. Just doing my job. But the mission wasn't close to finished. As Sophia rejoined Peterson's formation, her radar detected new dangers. Enemy surface-to-air missile sites activated in response to the air battle. Worse, Peterson's C-130 showed signs of damage from enemy missiles fired before Sophia eliminated the fighter threat. Viper lead, this is Thunder home. Peterson's voice carried both stress and respect. We took some hits from their initial attack. Hydraulic problems. Navigation systems are gone. We're going to have to emergency land. Sophia studied her tactical display, finding the only possible landing spot within range. A remote airstrip deep in enemy territory. But intelligence said the area was full of enemy ground forces who would capture or kill anyone landing there. Thunder home. That airstrip is held by hostiles. Landing there is suicide. Viper lead. We don't have options. It's either land there or crash in the mountains. Sophia made her second impossible choice of the day. Thunder home. Proceed to emergency landing. I'll clear the airstrip and cover you. What happened next was the boldest close air support mission in modern aviation history. Sophia ran a 1-woman air campaign against enemy ground forces occupying the airstrip, using her remaining missiles and cannon to systematically destroy defensive positions. The enemy ground forces had positioned themselves to stop conventional rescue attempts, with heavy weapons and fortified spots covering all approaches to the airstrip. but they'd never faced a single F-16 pilot who treated close air support like a precision art. Sophia's attacks were surgical. She eliminated enemy weapon positions with cannon fire so accurate she could destroy equipment while leaving personnel areas untouched. Her goal wasn't maximum casualties, it was tactical control that would let Peterson's plane land safely. But as Peterson's damaged aircraft touched down, enemy forces swarmed the landing site. The general's security team fought hard, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Within minutes, Sophia watched through her targeting pod as Peterson was captured by enemy soldiers who'd survived her aerial assault. "Viper lead, this is Viper 2. Her wingman's voice was desperate. "General Peterson's been captured. Enemy forces are moving him away from the airstrip." Sophia tracked the enemy convoy through her sensors, watching as they transported one of America's most important military leaders toward a fate that could compromise national security. Standard rules said she should report the capture and wait for a rescue mission that might take days to plan. Instead, Sophia chose to break the rules. "Viper 2, return to base and report the situation. I'm going after him." "Sophia, that's impossible. You can't run a ground rescue in an F-16. Watch me." What Sophia pulled off over the next 2 hours redefined what fighter aircraft could do in unconventional war. Using her F-16 as both a spy platform and precision weapon, she tracked the enemy convoy through mountainous terrain that should have hidden them perfectly. Her first challenge was gathering information. Without ground troops or satellite help, Sophia had to find Peterson using only her aircraft sensors and tactical knowledge from studying enemy behavior. She flew low-level reconnaissance missions that brought her within range of enemy air defenses, mapping their positions and finding weaknesses. The enemy convoy was heading toward a fortified compound where Peterson would be questioned and possibly killed. Sophia had maybe an hour before they reached their destination, after which rescue would become impossible. Her tactical solution was as creative as it was risky. Instead of trying a conventional rescue operation, Sophia decided to use the enemy's own methods against them. She would make them think they were under attack by a much larger force, creating chaos that would give Peterson a chance to escape. The first part involved mental warfare. Sophia made high-speed, low-altitude passes over the convoy, using the sonic booms from her plane to simulate incoming missile strikes. The psychological effect was instant. Enemy soldiers dove for cover, convinced they were being bombed by invisible aircraft. During the confusion, Sophia used precision cannon fire to disable the convoy vehicles without harming Peterson. Each burst was calculated to create maximum disruption while keeping the captured general safe. Her shooting was so exact she could disable vehicle engines while leaving passenger areas intact. The second part required Sophia to land her F-16 on a mountain road, something fighter pilots swore was impossible. But Sophia had studied emergency landing procedures other pilots considered too dangerous to try. She found a straight stretch of road, barely long enough for her plane, and executed a landing that broke every safety rule in military aviation. With her plane serving as both transport and weapon, Sophia ran a one-woman ground assault on the enemy position holding Peterson. Using her plane's cannon and complete surprise, she took out the guards and extracted the general in an operation lasting less than 10 minutes. The takeoff was even more dangerous than landing. With Peterson secured in the aircraft's maintenance area, a space never meant for passengers, Sophia pushed her overloaded F-16 into the air using techniques that pushed both plane and pilot beyond their limit. The flight back to friendly territory was a masterpiece of tactical flying. Enemy forces had been alerted to the rescue, and Sophia had to dodge surface-to-air missiles and fighter planes while flying an aircraft never designed for passenger transport. When Sophia's F-16 landed at the main airbase 3 hours after the mission started, she'd accomplished something never done before in military aviation: a single pilot air-to-ground rescue that saved one of America's most important military leaders. General Peterson was first to greet her as she shut down her engines. His face showed exhaustion from captivity, but his eyes held something Sophia rarely saw from senior officers: complete respect and admiration. "Captain Hayes," he said simply, "what you did today was extraordinary. You didn't just save my life. You showed tactical innovation that will change how we think about air power." The base commander, Colonel Martinez, approached with an expression mixing wonder and disbelief. "Hayes, in 30 years of military aviation, I've never seen anything like what you just did. 5 enemy fighters shot down, a ground rescue mission in an F-16, and a general extracted from enemy captivity. This is going to rewrite the textbooks. Sophia removed her helmet, revealing reddish-brown hair damp with sweat and blue eyes bright with the pride of mission complete. Sir General Peterson would have done the same for any of us. I just happened to be in the right place with the right plane. Peterson shook his head firmly. Captain, what you did today went far beyond duty or training. You came up with solutions to impossible problems and executed them with precision that saved American lives. The reports from Sophia's mission became classified studies examined by air forces worldwide. Her tactical innovations were analyzed, her techniques incorporated into advanced pilot training, and her mission became the foundation for new thinking about single-pilot operations in dangerous environments. 6 months later, Captain Sophia Hayes was promoted to major and offered command of the Air Force's most elite fighter squadron. But more importantly, she never again heard anyone question whether women could handle the most dangerous combat mission. General Peterson became her strongest supporter, often telling military leaders, "If you want to understand what innovation and courage look like in modern war, study what Hayes did that day." She didn't just follow procedures, she invented new ones when the situation demanded it. Today, Colonel Sophia Viper Hayes commands the Air Force's top fighter training program, teaching the next generation of pilots that the most important weapon in any aircraft is the mind behind the controls. Her students learn not just how to fly fighters, but how to think beyond conventional limits when American lives are on the line. Have you ever been in a situation where everyone said something was impossible, only to prove the limitation was in their thinking rather than reality? Sophia's story reminds us that the most dangerous opponents are often the ones who refuse to accept that certain things can't be done. The enemy pilots who faced her that day expected standard defensive tactics from an outnumbered escort. Instead, they found themselves outfought and outthought by someone who'd studied their weaknesses and used them with devastating precision. If you believe that true excellence comes from pushing beyond accepted limits, share this story. Because somewhere someone is being told their goals are impossible, not knowing they're about to prove that impossible is just another word for hasn't been done yet. Sophia Hayes didn't just survive enemy fighter jets and rescue a captured general. She redefined what one pilot could accomplish when courage, skill, and innovation came together in the heat of combat. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to see more incredible stories like this.